Hello deobis. I wanted to make a short video talking about some very important things that all of us should be aware of so we can be better as a fandom. And for the boys, this video is not really going to be a funny one, but one that I really hope you watched, because although many of us already know, I think it's still important to put something like this out there so it can hopefully reach even more people. Whether you're new to the fandom or not, we all should know by now that the boys are a very funny and comedic group. They often go viral because, come on, they're just the biggest dorks ever, and honestly I think they're one of the most naturally funny groups out there in the industry. But remember, they aren't just comedians group. They are a group that is so extremely multidimensional, and there are so many aspects to them that many people, especially, serial deobis, seem to ignore. If you're wondering what serial deobis are, basically they're fans that seem to use jokes that are overused and aren't relevant anymore. A prime example of a joke serial deobis would say is Hyunjae's Mohaseo, but don't get this mixed up with a baby deobi, because yes, when you're new to the fandom you'll probably have a phase where you watch their old content, and their old videos they were just on another level type of crack. I get it, but the extent serial deobis go to is just very frustrating. They seem to only refer to certain members by one quote-unquote iconic moment or personality trait. You may think they can be harmless, but the effect that they can put on other new deobis or people outside of the fandom can be very harmful to the boys themselves. As you probably already know, the boys have done a small series of videos called Generation Z. If you haven't watched it already, I strongly recommend that you do, because it really helps you get to know them personally as individuals. Anyways, if you haven't noticed, almost every single member mentioned something about them seeming a certain way, but they have a side to them that is either misunderstood or is hidden from their fear of us being upset. Like for instance, many people know that Hyunjae is a very honest and bold spoken person, but it seems that many people think that he is rude, or that he quote-unquote bullies the other members, or that people just know him as a loud and annoying member. All of that is so not true. Hyunjae is practically the backbone of the boys, and I don't care what you have to say about it, because you have to admit that he is such an important member. I'm not favoritizing him either, as you probably know that my bias is Younghoon. Hyunjae is someone all members turn to when they're going through a hard time. He is always caring and putting the people around him first without even saying much or asking for acknowledgement of it. He constantly is taking care of his members, and not even just the ones younger than him. He has such a big heart, and he loves us and the boys so much. He's so thoughtful, and don't even get me started on how talented he is. So it just hurts me seeing so many people little him down to such negative traits when that isn't even him at all. He is so much more than that. And Hyunjae isn't even the only member experiencing things like this either. Juyeon is another member that has a big stereotype of being quote-unquote dumb, or many only mention him for thirst tweeting or captioning. This especially aggravates me because he's my biggest bias wrecker and I just love him so much. But, continuing on, he is so much more than those things, and I don't understand how so many people don't talk about how freaking amazing he is. Calling him dumb sometimes is reasonable because yes, he is goofy, but refrain yourself from constantly referring to him that way. He himself said that he's tired of hearing the word clumsy. I know this is something that a lot of people can be guilty for, but I hope that you all know better now and you'll start appreciating his other qualities. I've already talked about this all on my introduction to Juyeon, but my point is, he is literally so smart. Like during his high school days, he always got high marks, and just the way he perceives everything is just so lovely and thoughtful. I'll lastly be talking about Kevin. Although there are stereotypes within every single member which is just super disappointing, I decided to focus on these three the most because they are the members I feel that are most perceived in the ways of serial deobis' eyes. I have talked about every single member individually and have made guides for the specific reason to hopefully make people understand their personalities more than just a few words, so please don't come at me saying I'm being biased. Trust me, I'd like to talk about every single thing wrongly accused or said about every member, but this video would be way too long and the purpose of my guides for them would be pretty useless. Anyways, back to Kevin. If you're on Stan Twitter, you probably already know that Kevin goes viral the most often because, come on, he's absolutely hilarious. There is no denying that, but I see him constantly appearing on other accounts only to mention his humor. Although this isn't something only serial deobis are guilty of, but just many people in general, especially ones outside of the fandom. Kevin is one of the most thoughtful, educated and caring idols I've seen. He always seems to be speaking his mind and talking about important topics that can be controversial in Korean society, which is why it isn't common for many other idols too. But Kevin, the way he talks about these things is just such a nice and comforting way to put them. You can really tell he spends a lot of his time thinking and updating himself on what goes on in the world around him. He has so much respect for everyone in this world, and his kind heart is not talked about enough. Things like these are what is ignored often by some others. And deobis, I'm not pining this one towards you guys because I think we all just love Kevin for everything he is. But for the newer fans or people outside of this community don't know enough about how great of a person he is. We can't grow more as a fandom when the same jokes, the same stereotypes and the same hurtful words are repeatedly being used on the boys. I know sometimes you may not even be aware of what you're doing and its effects. I don't blame you. But what I'm asking is that you understand the harm in doing and saying certain things. Old jokes and old nicknames should be left in the past. There really is so many other things that I'd like to talk about, but for now I'm just going to start off with this. I think I have basically gotten everything covered, but if you guys want me to talk about something else or more things on this, please let me know. I really hope this account can be one that's useful for deobis, especially the ones coming into the fandom. I feel like it's so common to focus on the happy things of idols and their happy moments. It's fun to watch videos like those, and I also do my take at making them. But I also really want to talk about things that are more than just the funny times. It's about time more people start knowing the boys as not just a group filled with hilarious moments, but also as a group that have some of the biggest hearts and most open minds in this industry. I hope more people can fall in love with that side of them as well. But yeah, basically that's what I wanted to discuss today. Anyways, I hope you all have an amazing day and that you guys take care of yourselves. Please remember that the boys love you so much, and just you alone have made such a difference in their lives. I'm so happy that you're a part of this growing family, and I welcome you if you've just joined. This video was not meant to hurt anyone, but to hopefully make people aware of what they're doing. I saw many people on Twitter discussing this, and I wanted to take my thoughts and opinions of it to YouTube.